1. The My Lai Massacre. In 1968, during the Vietnam War, American soldiers entered a village called My Lai. They had been told that enemy fighters might be hiding there. But when they arrived, they mainly found unarmed villagers. There were elderly people, women, children, and babies. Despite this, soldiers began killing them. Hundreds of civilians died. The most disturbing part was that many soldiers followed the orders, even though they could clearly see that the villagers were not fighting back. Some soldiers later said they believed they had no choice because they had been ordered to do it. Others had started viewing everyone in the area as an enemy. This is what dehumanization can do. When people stop seeing others as individuals, cruelty becomes much easier. Instead of seeing a child, they see a threat. Instead of seeing a family, they see an enemy group. But not everyone obeyed. A helicopter pilot named Hugh Thompson saw what was happening from the air. He landed his helicopter between the soldiers and a group of villagers. He ordered his crew to protect the civilians, even if that meant confronting fellow American soldiers. Thompson helped save several people. The event revealed two sides of human psychology. Some people followed cruel orders because authority, fear, and group loyalty overpowered their personal judgment. But one person rejected the group and acted according to his own conscience. It showed that pressure can influence human behavior, but it does not completely remove personal responsibility. 2. The Robbers Cave Experiment. In the 1950s, researchers brought two groups of young boys to a summer camp in Oklahoma. The boys did not know they were part of a psychological experiment. At first, the groups were kept separate. Each group formed its own identity. One group called itself the Rattlers. The other became the Eagles. The boys made flags, created rules, and developed strong loyalty to their own group. Then the researchers introduced competitions. The groups played baseball, tug-of-war, and other games for prizes. Friendly competition quickly turned into hatred. The boys insulted one another. They burned the other group's flag. They raided cabins and destroyed property. Some even refused to eat near members of the other group. These were ordinary children who had never met before. The researchers created conflict simply by separating them into groups and making them compete. Later, they tried bringing the boys together for meals and activities. It did not work. Being in the same place did not remove the hatred. The situation only improved when both groups were given problems that required cooperation. For example, they had to work together to restore the camp's water supply. The experiment showed how quickly humans can create an us versus them mentality. A name, a flag, and a competition can be enough to make strangers dislike each other. But it also showed that shared goals can reduce hatred. People may stop seeing one another as enemies when they realize they need each other. 3. Jonestown Jim Jones presented himself as a religious leader who supported equality and helped poor people. His organization was called the People's Temple. At first, many followers believed they had joined a caring community, but Jones slowly gained more control over their lives. He told followers that outsiders were dangerous. He treated criticism as an attack. Anyone who questioned him could be called disloyal. Eventually, hundreds of followers moved with him to a remote settlement in Guyana called Jonestown. Jones promised them a peaceful and equal society. Instead, residents faced harsh work, punishment, isolation, and constant control. Jones spoke through loudspeakers for hours. He warned followers that enemies were planning to attack them. He controlled much of the information they received. This made it difficult for residents to know what was real. In November 1978, United States Congressman Leo Ryan visited Jonestown to investigate reports of abuse. Several residents asked to leave with him. Ryan and others were later killed at a nearby airstrip. After this, Jones ordered the people in Jonestown to consume a poisoned drink. More than 900 people died, including hundreds of children. The event is often called a mass suicide, but many victims were trapped, pressured, or killed against their will. Jonestown showed how manipulation usually happens slowly. A controlling leader first offers people belonging and purpose. Then he isolates them. He creates enemies. He makes loyalty more important than truth. By the time the final demand is made, followers may feel that leaving is impossible. 4. The Radio That Turned Neighbours into Enemies. In 1994, mass killings began in Rwanda. Extremist leaders targeted the Tutsi population and moderate Hutus who opposed the violence. But the killings did not begin suddenly. For years, propaganda had increased hatred between different groups. One radio station played a major role. It was called RTLM. The station mixed music, jokes, news, and political discussion. This made it sound like normal entertainment. But between the songs and jokes, presenters spread hatred. They described Tutsis as dangerous. They used insulting words and compared them to insects. They told listeners that violence was necessary to protect the country. This language removed the victim's humanity. When people repeatedly hear that a group is dangerous or less human, harming that group can begin to feel acceptable. The radio also spread rumors and sometimes helped identify people or places connected to the targeted population. Neighbors began attacking neighbors. People who had lived together for years turned against each other. Within around 100 days, hundreds of thousands of people were killed. The event showed the power of repeated propaganda. A lie does not become true because it is repeated, but constant repetition can make it feel familiar. And familiar ideas often feel more believable. When hatred is presented through jokes, music, and casual conversation, people may stop recognizing how dangerous it is. Violence can begin long before the first weapon is used. Sometimes it begins with words that everyone slowly learns to accept. 5. The Challenger disaster. On January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger launched from Florida. Only 73 seconds later, it broke apart. All 7 crew members died. The immediate technical cause involved rubber seals called O-rings. The seals did not perform properly in the unusually cold temperature. But engineers had raised concerns before the launch. Some warned that the cold weather could make the seals dangerous. Despite these warnings, the launch went ahead. Part of the problem was that O-ring damage had appeared on earlier missions. Those missions had still ended safely. Because disaster had not happened before, the risk slowly began to feel normal. This is sometimes called the normalisation of deviance. A dangerous decision succeeds once. People repeat it. It succeeds again. Eventually, they stop treating it as dangerous. Organizations can also become focused on schedules, reputation, money, and public expectations. People may feel pressure to approve a decision instead of delaying it. They may stay quiet because they do not want to appear negative or difficult. The Challenger disaster showed that having information is not always enough. The engineers had concerns. The warning signs existed. But the organization failed to respond properly. Humans often judge danger by looking at what happened last time. If a risky action did not cause disaster before, they assume it will remain safe. But surviving a risk does not remove the risk. Sometimes it only delays the consequences. 6. The third wave. In 1967, a high school teacher named Ron Jones wanted to explain how ordinary people could accept an authoritarian movement. Instead of only teaching the subject, he decided to demonstrate it. He introduced strict discipline inside his classroom. Students had to sit in a specific position. They had to answer questions using short, controlled sentences. Jones created slogans about discipline, community, and action. He then gave the movement a name. It was called the Third Wave. Students received membership cards. They used a special salute. They were told that their group was important and that it was growing. Many students became excited. They recruited others. Some guarded the classroom. Some reported classmates who failed to follow the rules. The movement gave students a sense of belonging. It also made them feel superior to people outside the group. After several days, Jones announced that the third wave was part of a larger national movement. Students gathered to watch their supposed leader speak on television. But no leader appeared. Jones then explained that the movement was not real. The students had been participating in a lesson about fascism and control. Some details of the event remain debated because it was not a carefully controlled scientific experiment. However, its message is still disturbing. Authoritarian movements do not always begin with open violence. They can begin with discipline, unity, pride, and the promise of belonging. People may join because they want purpose, not because they want cruelty. But once their identity becomes connected to the group, they may defend actions they would normally reject.